You wanted to know a tip about the best way to keep your camera dust free? Just don't use it. Just don't use it. No, no, that's silly. Gee, you know, it sort of leads on to so many scenarios that come through the workshop. The equipment that gets damaged and why it gets damaged. There's impact damage, there's sand, there's liquid damage. They're the user ones. Then there's the failure of the equipment, be it manufacturer, under warranty type failures, which is very low. You know, it's in the tie-in equipment, it's less than 1%. Keeping the dust out of the camera. Well, there's a couple of things that I see which really, you know, are frustrating, and I go, no, please don't do that. And one of them is that you all know that removable lens cameras, so DSLRs, always have issues with dust getting into the sensor. Taking the body cap off and putting it in your pocket is just a big no-no. It's just like a static build-up of dust that sits on the cap, and it's just going to blow around inside the camera because the mirror, every time you take a shot, does this, and it's like a little fan inside there. So certainly don't keep your body cap in the pocket. As for the external dust of the cameras, there's a lot of cameras now that are made that have got really good dust proofing, and of course you do pay for that. If you don't have the luxury of that budget, which is absolutely fine, there's cameras to suit everybody's budget, and they've got great optics and great images in them. That would be keeping the camera case clean, keeping the camera pointed down when you change your lens, keeping the outside of the lens clean with to have two cloths, distinctly two cloths. One of them is to clean the outside of the camera, and it would be a cloth that's, say, a microfiber cloth. There's some great ones out there. You buy a specific designed for camera, for optics, microfiber cloth. You can use that for the optics. Keep that in a sealed Ziploc plastic bag so it doesn't get grit and junk in it that's going to scratch your element when you wipe it. Keep filters on front of your lens, because a filter's cheaper to replace than a front of the lens optics, most definitely. If you're going to put the camera into a sealed bag, you be careful that it doesn't get condensation built up inside. So if it's a Ziploc bag and you're changing environment temperatures out of a cold air-conditioned hotel room into a warm tropical environment, and we're in Melbourne and it's winter now, so half your luck, then it's going to get condensation built up in it. So try not to use the Ziploc plastic bags. Keep the camera in a clean bag, say, you know, your carry camera bag, a specific one. So and brushing it on the outside with a soft brush. I know it's got a long-winded answer, but there's no one quick way to keep dust off it, but just being cautious in those environments helps a lot. Should you clean your own sensor in a DSLR camera or a mirrorless camera, or should you bring it into a service centre to get it cleaned? Well, it's not a hard question. It's unreasonable to expect people to have to take their cameras into a service centre to get them cleaned when they get dust in them. It's going to happen often enough. You put a long focal length zoom lens on the camera, and they're like a bike pump. They just pump so much air through the camera, you're going to get tons of dust in there. So it's unreasonable to expect the user to have to take it to a service centre every time you get dust in there. So because of that, the camera manufacturers have got a clean mode, and what that is the facilities where you can lock the mirror up and the shutter open safely and use a hand blower, not the service station air pump for doing your tyres or something like that, or even the can of dust off, which is compressed air, because if you tilt those at the same time while you're squirting, the propellant, liquid propellant, comes out. And if also you're enough like the client that accidentally picked up the WD-40 and thought it was dust off and sprayed in the camera, then you're in for a big repair as well. So he was equally embarrassed as well. So there is a facility to clean them. Using a hand blower is great, and there are plenty of do-it-yourself cleaning kits on the market, and a lot of them are risky and dangerous. And we do replace sensors. In actual fact, this one here that I picked up earlier, the bandpass filter off her camera. The reason that that's in my hand now is because it's been scratched by an attempt to clean it. So if you're worried about touching it and you don't feel confident, just don't do it. Use a hand blower. You can't get into any trouble because you're not touching it, and there's not a lot of there's nothing metal on the end of them. They're normally rubber. And when you're finished with your hand blower, keep it in a plastic bag because it can pull dust in through the blower and out the end into your camera. I think that clients can, if they're competent enough and feel comfortable to clean their own sensor, by all means do. Follow the instructions of the manufacturers. And when you're in the middle of nowhere and you've got that beautiful sunset and you're shooting at f/22 and there's that rotten dust spots that you don't want to have to touch out of 100 shots because you're doing time lapse, you've got to clean them yourself. Research it if you're going to be doing kits, cleaning kits. There's lots on the market. There's some good ones that we recommend, but there's some ones that you have to be very careful of as well. What is the strangest things that we found in the camera when we opened it? I'm going to furnish you with some images, and hopefully you can complement this video with those. But probably the one that blew me away the most were ants. Now, ants aren't uncommon in cameras. They get in there because the cameras are warm. There must be something about maybe a smell from us that's in there. Ants are highly conductive, and when they get into the camera, they walk across the circuitry, and particularly the flash capacitor, which is sitting at 360 volts, and then bang, they fry themselves and your damn camera. So you've blown up your camera just because the ants crawl through there. But we opened up one camera, and there was absolute millions of these tiny little ants, minute little red ants. But what they'd done, they'd eaten all of the insulation off the red wires only. Freaky? Yeah, absolutely. Just the red wires. Every other colour was left alone, but they just hoed in. There must be something really tasty about red wires to these ants. That was the weirdest one. Absolutely bizarre.